Retirement's our last chance. We're closing our leather bag warehouse. You're never gonna see these leather bags again. You better fucking buy them now. All the leather's going away. All right. Nope, down here. It is May 15th, the day of our Lord. 6:42 a.m. Greenland is just now firing up. If you can believe it. Alrighty. Space food. Yeah, I'm a little chilly. I'm gonna put this hoodie on. Good morning. So, as you can see, I've made a good amount of progress today. Actually, it wasn't yesterday, or today, it was yesterday. I made a very good amount of progress yesterday. So, let's scooch. Let's grab you. Get you a little more centered. Yeah, that's good. So, as you can tell, with the castle, let's see. Yeah. Nice little dark room there. Got a little view of, yeah, right here. Just a good little view of the bridge. All the little ladders that I have made. I finished the awful ladder made from the trees that are going to be on the ground because there was no way to get in without cutting down some trees. Then I began coating the foam with the filler. And that is probably what I'm ready to start doing here in just a couple of seconds. It's picking back up on that, getting back at it. The bridge, I redid this part. So this was a lot lower. Also, this is it's a functioning suspension bridge. So all of the little parts do move underneath of the model's weight, but all of it is able to bear weight. So I'm very excited, very pleased with how the bridge turned out. Yeah, visually looks very good. Yeah. And the only thing that I am remotely kind of not in love with is that it is higher here. But honestly, I'm okay with that too. I think I'm trying to figure out why it's higher there. That doesn't look good. I definitely need to probably put another rope or two along the top. I am going to do that. But I think I'm getting ready to start putting more filler on here. Try to get that going. Try to get this done sooner, and I'll go ahead and pop the top off there. See down in there. I was working on that yesterday. Got a good amount of the filler put on there. I'm gonna go ahead. I think I'm gonna get back to that. Trying to make some progress. Greenland is firing back up to finish up the We are now out, I think it's the Stables. I think Greenland's Stables, maybe? Stable storage, yes. Greenland is working on stable storage. I can show you that model that he printed last night, that they printed. So, this is part one. There are two more parts of the stable storage. There is the part that will be over here, as well as the rest of the tower. Stable storage. There's a part on this side as well. So, yeah, pretty pleased, as always, with 3D layered sceneries. Train, the files are awesome. I don't believe I showed the brewery, so I'll go ahead and put that on here as well. This is the, man, this thing, this piece. There was more bullshittery with printing this piece's, yeah, just this piece. There's three pieces here. 1, 2, and 3, the big chunk. The big chunk, man, that one, the amount of supports that were like underneath there that needed to be dug out, that were just real goofy and wonky. I am a massive fan of 3D layered sceneries, sculpts. Like all of their buildings, all their terrain is just wonderful. I am curious. Actually, I'm curious. I don't want to find out. I'm gonna blow my nose real quick. Okay. I am curious. I have a couple friends that have an A1. And I might have some friends that actually even have a P1, but I'm not telling anybody to go out and buy. If anyone has an A1 or a P1 though, and they have printed any of 3D layered scenery stuff, I would be curious to see how that turned out. Greenland's getting ready to take off into the stratosphere. I think that's calibrating. Let me see. Auto bed leveling is what it says it's doing right now. So I absolutely, if I could do it over again, I would want another FDM printer. I will say that again though. I don't have any experience with the A1 or the P1, but I've only heard good things about them. I went with the X1 Carbon because I already have had to learn how to work with resin printers for all of my stuff, and that is a whole skill set. I've ranted about that before, but that's just, it's a skill set. It is a skill set learning how to 3D print, and it's a skill set that varies depending on what you're printing in. Printing in FDM, being very educated and knowing a lot about FDM printing, it means fuck all when you go to resin, and vice versa. Like if you only do one and then you start doing the other, everything that you know about one, it's just damn near not usable information because of how completely different the processes are. And that's similar to a lot of things. In telecom, that's a big thing. In any field, really, where you have information that is learned and then expanded upon over the course of decades, especially in a field that is constantly evolving. Any information that's like 2 decades, a decade, that's just garbage. It's just like that is a very big thing in telecom, especially with older guys. And I say guys because it is an extremely male-dominated field, and it's just full of a lot of older guys that were here before cell phones, that know how telecom, like landline stuff, works, and do not want to move forward with technology, or they don't understand it so much that they don't actually care about how any of it works, and they only care about moving forward with technology because they think they can replace you with AI. And that is my rant about where we're going with that kind of stuff today. But I'm not going to be about that life right now. Right now, I'm just based in this big old cake, baby. Based in my big cake, baby. This week is Under the Dice Fest, and I was fortunate enough to find someone to pick up one of the tickets that I had, and shirts. I still have a medium shirt and a weekend pass for Under the Dice Fest. If you're watching this and you're going to be there and you don't have a ticket or a shirt yet, hit me up. Maybe my taxes are less than yours. Who knows? I've already paid taxes and stuff on all of it. You just gotta tell them boys that you want my stuff once you give me monies. Yeah. So, let you see what I'm doing here, because I'm just basting. I'm just slapping. I'm just throwing some spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks, you know. I'm not doing that, actually. To be honest, I'm just putting filler. Man, this is just all filler. That's one of the things that people say a lot. You know, I don't want to go to the Grimdark Distillery. It's just all filler. Today, yeah. Today is all filler. Tomorrow will be all killer for sure, I promise. Kelly is actually off for today and tomorrow, so she's probably going to be waking up the next little bit. But I'm telling you that so you can know someone's getting thrown off this castle in the next couple of days, because now that I've finished all the ladders and everything, while it may not be painted, I'm going to play a game on it, because I really want to. So once all this stuff is dry and I'm able to play on it, I'm gonna start playing some games on it. You can't stop me. Okay. Yeah, this is so fucking good. So I was telling Kelly yesterday I did not start shaping this foam because I realized that the top part I needed to put the filler in first, because if I had just gone to the foam and just started cutting, the foam I do not believe is strong enough to maintain its shape and provide support for the rest of the tower. That is a very key thing that you need to keep in mind if you're doing this kind of stuff. So all the work that Johnny, Witchhammer Studios, did on that giant beacon and whatnot at Distillery would be for nothing if he did not think about how much weight it can hold and all that stuff. So that, when I talk about like what I do and my planning and my building stage, a lot of it is just, so this one, a lot of it was just impulsively, I'm going to grab 3 buckets, I'm going to throw this down, I'm going to start building. But in my head, I am also doing a lot of thinking about things that I've had to think about before, and that's where I'm at adding this in, is that weight. And that's such a big deal as far as why I'm using this vinyl spackling. Why I'm not using something else. This is not because I'm really, in the pocket of Red Devil pre-mixed vinyl spackling. It's not. It's because I've used this before, and I am familiar with its drying times, and I'm familiar with what it looks like when it dries, and most importantly, weight. The only thing that I think I would, if I was like, man, I really, really, really need this to be lighter, there is like 1 or 2 spacklings that I have messed with before that are lighter when they dry, but they're typically ones that are listed as like lightweight or air weight, and they are great. They're more expensive though. For a money to value, I personally have just not found anything better than this for what I'm doing right now. Now, if I had all the time in the world, I had a whole team of people and they were doing this stuff, and I was just telling them what to do, would I still use this? Maybe. I don't know. Because the time in which I'm able to put this stuff on there, trying to get you a view of just slapping that on there, slapping it on there, slapping the base, slapping it on there, and just smoothing it out, getting it in between these cracks. I'm wanting it to act like mortar. And everything that I'm doing here is essentially just a larger scaled version of how this building would most likely have been built, or at least an imitation of it to some degree. And again, it doesn't, when we are making something like this, there are different levels of realism that need to be achieved to convey what we're trying to convey, depending on the scale, and depending on the size of what we're trying to show people. So obviously, with a building, with this tower, we don't have the same kind of scale or size on this piece. When you think about this board as, I mean, this board is, it's the biggest model that we're playing with. But it's a model. So if you think about the boards that you play with in the same kind of way that you think about the models, you kind of can probably see where I'm going with this, but they need to be detailed in order to achieve what you're trying to show. But they're very different in how you go about doing that. A model, because it is, you know, typically a character, a thing, it will have different points of focus that you need to draw attention to. It'll have different things that our brains look at and say, yes, that makes me think about blank. This tracks, this flows. And this is a combination of character design that I'm talking about, and not just character design, but like basic anatomy. We need to think about those kinds of things, making sure anatomically that what we are making makes sense with itself. That's, I'm not trying to say like, oh yeah, you gotta make sure a lot of my stuff is not proportionate or anatomically correct or anatomically symmetrical. In fact, most of my things, especially my demons, are non-symmetrical. Even if they look symmetrical, they are not. There is something very, very not right about them, and that's intentional. With buildings, all these things, this is not just me rambling, it's, well, it is. I'm trying to convey, though, that I like to build terrain the same way that I build in my head, at least the way that I build models. I have a sleepy boy. Oh no, my little sleepy possum. Wakey wakey, eggs and bakey. Wakey wakey. I'm trying to remember what that girl on it's either TikTok or Instagram. Every day she wakes up and she screams something. I think it's wakey wakey, eggs and bakey. For a while I did watch that every day. Shit, I'm ranting. But yeah, no, I'm also the sleepy boy. We the sleepy boys together. Awesome. So yeah, I've made a lot of progress. Oh no! Ooh, this guy's a little wiggly. So I've made a lot of progress yesterday, and I'm very pleased with it. And then I was ranting and raving about making terrain and about my methods and about what we need to keep in mind when we're making terrain. But essentially, it's just the same things that I say to keep in mind when we're making models. We need to think about. Also, let me rephrase that. I'm not trying to say, oh, you got to think when you make models. There's often times when I love to just sit down and just let the things happen. And I've been doing this long enough that a lot of times it seems like I'm really focused on something and I'm just letting it happen. But that's just a time thing. And I take that for granted sometimes because I realize that I start to work on something and stuff that I'm doing, I already know how to start half of it because I've been doing it for so long. And you just kind of build up ideas in your head. Oh, if I did that different, or if I did this different. So there's a lot of stuff that I'm going to skip over as far as concepts and thoughts unintentionally, because I'm not thinking about why I do them. So if anyone ever has any questions or concerns, comments, by all means. That's the same thing with models. Dark. Eric Ligui, oh, the time to get up, wake up, be TikTok. Time to get up, wake up. Yeah. Time to get up. Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. It's time to get up. It's time to get up. Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. I'm trying to remember what else she screams. And I would say I could find the video. I am not going into my Instagram account and going to the saved and pulling up my videos on my YouTube channel. I could cancel myself. My hairdresser and my wife's. So our hairdresser has a nice following on the Instagram. And I absolutely love our hairdresser, Miranda. She's wonderful. She does my hair, makes me look pretty. She does a very good job. It's honestly my favorite haircuts I've ever had are from Miranda. So, very well done. Also, shout out to Miranda. She has a book called Consumed. And while I went to the release party of it, I have not read it. I'm sorry, Miranda. But I know that it's influenced by a lot of, I want to say Greek mythology. But I know it's also a spoopy book about vampires and dealing with a lot of like internal kind of shit, to my knowledge. I don't know enough about it to really speak to it, but I need to read it. Anywho, shit, what was I saying about this? Oh, fuck. Wake up, wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. I was talking about my hairdresser. Oh, she posted a thing and she was like, hey, just so you know, if we're friends, I can look at all the videos that you've liked, and I'm just like, or all the stories and stuff that you've liked, and I'm just like, oh. Well, you are in for some treats. Because while I knew that was a thing, if you don't know me too well, or you're like, man, I wonder what kind of stories he's like. That is a fucking rabbit hole, and there's no shame on my game. I love it. I love that you're about to just jump into that and just try to figure out, does he like this? Is this what he's into? I don't know. And I find that very, very, very funny personally. But yeah, so I had a good laugh about that, a good little chuckle about my hairdresser. Looking at all the things that I have liked on Instagram as far as stories. I'm just putting a little icing on this cake, you know? I'm so fucking pumped about this. It's really, really coming together. I'm not sure how much I'm going to work on smoothing and sanding because honestly, after filling in these gaps, I'm just like, man, maybe texture. It might just be time to texture it because it looks so good. I'm such a proud papa. I'm the proud pop, and I got a whole bunch of stretchy pups. I don't have any pups. No dogs allowed. That's a Adventure Time reference. Man, I gotta tell you, if you've not watched Adventure Time, stop watching me and go watch Adventure Time right now, the whole thing. That's one of my favorite shows. It's a show that every time I go back to watch it, I take away more from. And to further that, Adventure Time, mathematical. What time is it? It's Adventure Time. Schmauzow. Finn, you're actually terrible at math. What? Yeah, man, I love Adventure Time. It gets so heavy, all the feels. I think it's honestly, I don't know, out of all the shows that I have watched, it is the one that I think I can take the most away from. And I mean that from like everything, which is kind of weird, because it's absolutely a kid show, but I think that it is able to deal with heavier subject matter in a very it is a from an adult standpoint, it is extremely grim. If you actually stop and think about a lot of things, that whole show, the whole world that they've invented, is very. If it was in a different aesthetic, it is grimdark as fuck. Like, I mean, at the very beginning, I love how the show at the beginning, it's very lighthearted. It's just such a coming of age show. Not even a coming of age show. It's like a growing show and developing, because. And I didn't mean to go off on a tangent about like my favorite cartoons, but that's not even cartoons, just favorite shows, period. Regular Show is another excellent one, and I think it's absolutely a coming of age story. I don't think that Adventure Time is. I think Adventure Time is literally just a story about life. And it has. I've watched that series. Kelly and I have watched that series multiple times together. There is no show that has made me cry as much. I'm for certain, and has made me maybe grow, because it's offered me a lot of topics to think about that I would not have thought about on my own. And I will say, one of the biggest, which is like, is Finn's dad. And again, no spoilers for anyone that has not watched Adventure Time. But Finn's father is introduced. And after a couple of, watches of the series, and time and years, the way that I see how that relationship is presented is not the same. Not only the first time I watched that show, but even the second and third or fourth viewing, like it has made me see and empathize with characters that I am not able to empathize with. Or let me even rephrase that. It has allowed me to empathize with archetypes, archetypical characters that I'm incapable of empathizing with, like outside of how the story is presented to me. But it's just like, man, I'm not gonna give you spoilers, but when Finn's dad is introduced, he's a really big piece of shit, which is a pretty fun thing, because in today's day and age, a lot of us have that problem of having a piece of shit for a father. So it's very interesting to see how the main character, and honestly the rest of the world, grows with Finn's father's character, and how Finn grows around of it and the impact that they make. And honestly, I guess the thing is that, like, when you're introduced to the character, this is spoiler alert. When you're introduced to the character, you're already kind of made aware that he is one of the biggest pieces of shit, like, out there. Like, where they find him, you only get there if you're one of the biggest pieces of shit in the galaxy. Fact. But by the time that the show finishes, like, you can even relate to him, or at least I can, which is something that I would have never guessed that I would be capable of doing. It just makes you, I don't know, it's a show that I would recommend to everyone, except maybe my mom, because she hates animation. And I'm not sure why. But that is something that I feel like I've been aware of about my mom for a very long time, is that she does not value animated media. And that's kind of weird when I think about it personally. I think it's maybe because she just only ever watched cartoons as though they were for children. So, like, I don't think she ever saw anything. I was like, oh, this is a cartoon made for adults, until, like, I was around. And I think by then it was just, oh, well, that's my kid. So I don't think there was ever a chance of her accepting adult animation. And I'm not saying it like, oh, hentai. I'm saying like, oh, a, actual fully developed storyline. It's just the characters are animated. And the reason I'm going off into that, another tangent, I'm just kind of talking while I'm working. But, oh boy, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, if you have not watched that, I do believe that is mine. I know it's Kelly's favorite. I don't have a hard time. So I'm the person that I love to pick my favorites, because I have a lot of favorites. I say, oh, that's my favorite all the time, because I have a lot of favorites. And it is important for me to remember, like, man, how does this thing impact me? And I do that with music a lot, especially because I'm like, man, this album. And while I'm on that subject, if you have not listened to Pale Horses by Me Without You, that album is one of my absolute favorite albums of all time. But lyrically, the only person that has ever made me feel the same about their ability with language that Jacob Bannon of Converge has is Adam Weiss, or Weiss, of Me Without You. Jacob Bannon, so Converge. Why do I love Converge so much? I'll talk about that for a little bit. Converge has been one of my favorite bands for the majority of my lifetime. When I found them, I was in high school, and I'm trying to think of even what album would have been out at the time. The last one would have been Jane Doe. Yeah, the last album was Jane Doe. Because You Fail Me came out. I remember when You Fail Me came out. I was listening to Converge when You Fail Me came out, but I did not. I saw them on their tour for No Heroes, which was a fucking sick tour. Anywho, the whole reason that I loved them so much was I have always been a fan of poetry. And Jacob Bannon is a poet, period. His lyricism is art on a different level, and it is art on a plane that my English teacher would be like, oh, like that's, growing up, like I definitely, there's certain things that I excelled at as any child with severe ADHD. There's certain things that I'm really, really good at, and certain things I'm really not good at. And turns out that the ones that give me dopamine because I enjoy them, those are the ones that I'm really good at. in school that typically was math, or not math, sorry. What actually, yeah, math. I am really good at like certain math, and I'm not like, oh, I'm good at basic math. No, I'm good at the kind of math that like, if I'm really like fucked up, I'll call it like the world math. It's the kind of math that is intrinsic to like reality, trigonometry, anything hypothetical. I'm not good at because I can't, if it's not based in reality and I can't see it with my hands, or I can't do anything practical with it, in my opinion, then my brain just cannot fucking use it. But trig, as soon as I understood trigonometry, like my brain was just like, blah, and I just wanted to use triangles to do everything. And that's a very fucking slippery slope, because the moment that you really start to understand trigonometry and you kind of figure out how fucking insane the like ancient mathematicians were, and how nuts you really can be, and how you could actually measure the distance to the fucking sun using shadows and triangles, it makes you realize things about the world that are pretty fucking horrifying if you actually stop to give them a moment of thought, which that is the connection point here. Me Without You has a line in the album Pale Horses. I've been listening to that album a lot. I listened to it a lot yesterday while I was working on this. But Pale Horses has a line that says, "I tremble at the thought of what's often referred to as karma." And I find that line beautiful and haunting. And I find myself feeling that way quite a bit these days. I feel like for the longest time I misunderstood the band Me Without You, and I thought that they were a Christian band. And they absolutely are a religious band. But I'm now understanding, I think, in my older age, what their lyricist means when he says that their songs and everything is about their relationship with God, but they are not a Christian band by any means. And it's just like, yeah, okay, I get it. They're essentially characters. It's very Modest Mouse-esque. But there's still a lot of... there's overflow into my reality with Me Without You's lyricism in a way that Modest Mouse doesn't do. And I think it's lines like that. I tremble at the thought of what's often referred to as karma. It's one that like I'll ruminate on while I'm working, because that absolutely is something that I have found myself, the more that I am in tune with the world and with reality, the more, or lack thereof. Trig is incredible. I was obsessed with the sailings, the set of forming as early mariners used to navigate the seas when I did sub-navigation in the Navy. I can't stress enough, Eric, yeah, like that kind of shit. The amount of stuff that we are able to do with basic, like, not basic math, but I mean, it's very much not basic math. They are concepts that, I mean, it's like a whole nother level of intelligence. The people that, like, figured this out, documented this, and it's just like, man, again, I'm sitting here basting this cake, and this is May 15th, 2025, and it's just like we're talking about someone thousands of years ago, and I'm talking to you through this little magic box. I guess the whole thing and what my tangent, my ranting all is perspective. I think it is so easy to lose perspective in today's day and age. And I'm not saying that just like, oh, don't lose your perspective. Think about what your goals are. Think about what you actually want to accomplish. And go for that. Because the world is 100% fashioned to distract you. Like, if you don't have, anything keeping you, like, chemical imbalances, anything like that, from, being distracted already. Just the world in itself. Marketing is the biggest industry out there, which is horrifying to think about. That we as a society would rather make more money than, advance further. That is a concept that is like really baffling to me. And I don't know what it is. It's not that I don't like, I'm so zen. This conversation has gone all over the place, but I think it's just because I'm stream of thought working on this, but I don't know. I've just been in my deep shit lately. I don't remember how I got from my, oh man, I touched the stuff. I don't remember how I got from my hairdresser to deep shit. I was talking about, I don't remember. Never gonna remember it, so we'll just move past it. This is looking so good. It looks so good. I'm scared. You guys gotta help me. I'm just kidding. I'm not scared. I ain't no big baby. I am a pretty big baby. At times. So, that's gonna look so good. But yeah, I love Adventure Time. What's the plaster you're using here? That would be Red Devil pre-mixed vinyl spackling. It is my go-to. I've said before that it dries faster than any other that I've messed with. And it definitely, I will tell you this much, definitely dries faster in Texas than it does here in my basement. But it still dries very fast. Like, this will be dry today. Like I can paint today if I want to, whereas if I was using something else, I would not be able to. And to be honest, not even like today. Like after I get this on here, I can go grab my heat gun and I can start, cooking this, getting it done a little bit quicker. The warm air definitely causes this stuff to dry and to set faster, but because it's vinyl spackling, it's essentially like I'm coating every bit of this in plastic almost, as far as the paint is concerned. So that is why I started to do this. And if I'm being honest, I don't even remember what the initial, I should get some spackling and start doing that. I don't remember why I started doing that. I know I didn't start doing this until my demons. Yeah, I think I didn't start messing with spackling really until my demons, and it was just I need to fill something really quick, and that's what it was. I remember in one of the, actually, not one of the, I think it might be the 3rd edition rulebook. I think in the 3rd edition rulebook, there is a picture of Jervis or Andy or somebody from GW using spackling, wall spackling, and I want to say makeup application, like makeup brushes, like not brushes, sponges, makeup sponges, showing how to make craters, like using those, which is wild to think about. Man, I miss 3rd edition GW. When I think about man, I want to play Warhammer. That's what I want to play. I want to play 3rd edition 40k. But the problem, and this someone, Dark, that's what it was. Dark messaged me. Dark Isles messaged me in this chat that I'm in on Instagram, which is all about making gore effects and stuff like that. But they were asking about a bunch of my Emperor's Children bits that I, hey, where'd you get a bunch of these? And it was just like, it made me think about my Emperor's Children because I've not been thinking about them. Because I haven't been thinking about anything GW related. But it's made me think about what I want to do with that. I don't know. I hate that because as I told Dark, they were asking about bits, and I was like, 99% of my Emperor's Children are deep, like digital conversions, taking 7, 8 different things and merging the files to like overlay and overlap. So like every face is not only like an individual, like there's no other model that looks like that out there. Like there's no other model that kind of looks like that. It's like a face is blend of a blend of a blend of a blend, and then I would sculpt on top of it after I printed it out. But yeah, no, every model, every Marine was really, I wanted them to be their own characters with backstories, everything like that. And it's because of, it was a work of love, a love letter to my hobby. With my recent hang-ups about the company that owns that IP, I don't know if I see myself being able to enjoy them anymore. And that's not like, oh, it's like I don't know if I can. Like, it's kind of like when you go to the hot dog factory and you like see how the hot dogs are made. Like, some people are fine to like keep eating the hot dogs after. Me, I'm fine to eat the hot dogs. I'm not fine to keep doing this though, because like, it's kind of like I'd be okay if I found out that the hot dogs were made of horses this whole time. It's like I kind of had that suspicion, but like I just kind of feel betrayed. That's it, hurt and betrayed by a company that I thought had my best interest in mind, but I realize now that's just like, man, you just like my money, and that kind of hurts my feelings a lot. I'm not trying to just pity party or baby. As an artist, as someone that the things that I make, other people look at, and the other people are going to say, man, he likes this. Maybe I should look into that too. I cannot not acknowledge those. I have to acknowledge. I have to acknowledge the responsibility that I have. And then even further that, it's just hard. It's just hard. I don't want to. I put so much time and so much effort and so much of myself into my escapism, into my little hobbies, into these little models, into these characters. I want them to mean something. And I think just, this is not me taking a day or a morning to dunk, but to just, I guess, kind of think out loud why I feel the way that I have about 30K, about 40K, about GW. And I think it all comes down to, I think, the moment that I realized that they could have, and they knew, like, the concerns that we had as far as, like, female space marines, all that kind of stuff. Those were not, like, new things that, like, you guys should change that. Those were, like, topics on the table that, like, you all should do better about this before Primaris was ever a thing. So it's just to know that they went and they did that much of a George Lucas level of fuck up on their own lore and didn't fix the misogynistic part of the lore. It's kind of I kind of look at it as like a fuck you to everyone that wanted them to do that, wanted them to be better. Like, you think that we could be better. We'd rather just have your money, though. That's kind of where I am. And then on top of all of that, I cannot stress this enough, their entire business model relies on convincing you that you need to keep buying toys, or, yeah, actually not even or, just that no matter what, you will never have enough. And intrinsically, I believe that that's fucking wrong. I think that is a very wrong thing to do. It's a very wrong thing to suggest. I very much would rather help you try to find a game or two. I don't want you to feel like you have to have more models. I want you to want to make more models. But I'm not trying to sell you anything. These are just, off the top of the dome. I'm just thinking. Oh, no. But yeah, I appreciate you guys waking up and hanging out with me while I'm trying to wake up and get this thing going. The space boot situation definitely had me feeling a little down in the dumps. It's just the lack of control, feeling like I don't have the autonomy, that I can't get up and leave my house if I want to, or I can't do this or that. And I think that combined with everything else led to the buildup of me being like, I've got to not work on the castle. I've just got to Flames of War some shit, which I absolutely, again, can't recommend that enough. Love Flames of War, and I'm going to be working on stuff for that. And I feel bad because, man, this is just me being my social self. At Adepticon, I told Cody, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely, your game, 1490 Doom, is one of the games that I'm going to put on my channel. And Steve was just like, what about my game? And I was like, Steve, you don't need me. And it's just one of those things where it's just like, I feel like the Hive Scum boys have a really big crowd that they already, draw from. So I'm like, you don't need my help. But I'm like, I didn't mean that to come off as, I'm not going to help you. Of course I'll help you, Steve. But I love Steve's game, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to do it anyway, whether he wants it or not. Go play Steve's game. I think your cyber boot is kind of cool. Thank you, Eric. I like the space boot. And also, I can't stress enough, this is also part of me where I was just like, I struggle at the thought of what's often referred to as karma. Literally, the day before, actually no, the day that I fucked up my leg, I was telling Kelly, we were talking about something, and I was ragging on Oliver about how on here, I was like, oh no, you can actually go on my stream and you can watch him fuck around and get hurt, because you can see me on the stream going, hey, no, just don't, just be careful. Because he likes to do things and then act like he's in trouble for them. Like, he does things that, hey bud, he'll come to the basement. The big one, one of the big ones is, oh, I'm not allowed in the basement. We always say that, like, oh yeah, I'm not allowed in the basement. He's allowed in the basement. He just likes to pretend like he's not sometimes. So whenever you see him, you're like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, he runs away real quick. He is, out of all of my little fur children, he is the one that other people tell me is the most like a cat. The others, I have been told, are very dog-like. I don't know, never had a dog, just had kitties. But he's a mama's boy. He spends his day, for the most part, in the bed or hanging out with his mom. He's a good buckwheat. Oh, okay. Man, I'm just filling this thing up. It's getting covered in filler. So, smooth it on, like Donkey Kong. But yeah, I was giving shit to Oliver about how he was making bad life choices by climbing up into the crawl space and then trying to jump 8 feet. That's like me jumping the roof, like jumping over the length of my house, and being like, I don't know what happened. I think I fucked up my legs. It's like, yeah, dude, you jumped so far directly onto concrete. I was trying to get you to stop so you didn't hurt yourself. I don't care if you're in the crawl space. I don't want you to get hurt. That kind of concept. And then later that day, my fucking foot exploded. So, karma. I also just remembered what I think is a very good joke. Order the 1490 modular castle. Man, I'm absolutely loving how yours is coming out. Oh, hell yeah. So yeah, I did too. I backed 1490 and pretty much. So initially, and I'll talk on that for a little bit because this is not me throwing shit. I messaged Cody. I try to do everything full disclosure. Like, and when I say I try to do everything full disclosure, I mean I try to do everything full disclosure. Like I try to say what is on my mind. I try to be as transparent in all things as I do, so there's no misunderstanding or miscommunication of what I'm going to do. And I realize now that there's still a lot of miscommunication because I'm like, man, I don't know how to explain, or the words that I use. It's just like, I'm using this, but you thought I meant that. It's not what I meant. So I absolutely am loving how this is coming out. But I really wanted to have the modular one that came with the game from the Game Found, because I think that one is exponentially better suited for like solo play and like random pickup games. Like if you're wanting to play any scenario from 1490 Doom, you could do it with like a modular board. You couldn't do it with this one just because there are some that you don't have a castle in the middle. And I really, while I'm very excited to make a modular one to like play through like the solo campaign and stuff with, this, I really wanted this to be almost a display. Like I wanted this board to be a board that really sums up what I want the channel to be. And that is, I want to show what Inc. 28 events feel like to be involved. Like they are a very small thing, and they are that way for lots of reasons. There's all kinds of reasons. And a lot of it, I think, gets looked at as elitism. And I've not ever talked about that, but I would love to talk about that. Because that is absolutely, I think, part of why I don't get along with certain people. But at least these days, and the people I'm talking about, they blocked me years ago, so they probably, and also they only blocked my fucking art account. They didn't block my personal like a dumbass. Anywho, my whole thing is, shit, I lost my train of thought. I was talking shit. Karma. I tremble. I was talking about the 1490 modules. I'm really excited about that. Oh, yeah. The whole thing is I really wanted to make a board. When I display a game here, I want it to have the same kind of vibe that when you see pictures of 28 events, I want it to look like that. I want to present it at the same level of, hey, we are doing this thing. It is a once-in-a-lifetime event. I want to make a once-in-a-lifetime board. And that's what I'm doing with all of these. And I don't think, maybe I didn't fully explain that in my intro videos, and that's why I was just like, yeah, I'm going to make something, just let you know. Steve gave me shit at Adepticon. And that's the thing, I realized I get too hot. I come at people too hot if they come at me when I think they're coming at me hot. But he was just like, oh yeah, you made a video pretty much saying that you're going to make a YouTube channel. And I was just like, yeah, I mean, that's what it is, but you guys already know who I am. Like, the video was mainly to put out there into the world before I went to Adepticon to, people who don't know who I am, to see it and be like, oh shit. It was not like supposed to be like a flex video, but I did put a bunch of, oh hey, who is this guy? Why should I give a shit? Oh, it's because I'm friends with people you definitely know. And the people that you know think that my ideas are dope. And it sometimes impacts their work. So you would probably like the stuff I do. Going from being a digital, not even digital, going from being a hermit to trying to be less of a hermit is definitely weird. I'm sure a lot of people that met me at Adepticon were like, man, you kind of seem different. It's just like, yeah, on stream, I'm a lot more comfortable and I feel safe in my basement and I don't have to worry about being hurt in the real world. So there's a little bit of that. Whole lot of topics that I'm just spewing out right here. I'm trying to think of why. What was I getting at? I was getting at this board. I'm really excited about the board because I think it absolutely, while it is not the most, I won't be able to play every kind of like scenario on here. It absolutely is going to have like a, yeah, this board plays different than other kinds of boards. It's going to have its own like meta. But I also am just looking at it and I'm like, man, everything that I'm going to do to this board from here on out, it's just only going to get more and more cinematic. And that is the biggest part, I think, of capturing. The biggest part of capturing what 28 is to me. It's not the aesthetic, it's not the story, it's a combination of everything. And I mean that not as an opinion, I mean that as a fact. And I think I've got a pretty good definition of 28. I think Mole, who coined the term 28, Ink 28, would be pleased with it. But it absolutely, it has nothing to do with Warhammer. It has nothing to do with Warhammer. It has nothing to do with grim, dark. 28 is, I think, storytelling. It's storytelling first and foremost, no matter what. And it's storytelling with little figures. And it's storytelling from the perspective that everything is not okay. It's very much a horror-influenced movement. And that's what I would say, that the 28 is not just a community, a number. It's an artistic, I think, concept art movement. I consider it a art movement. 28 is an art movement. I really do think we are in a renaissance of gaming, but not the way that people think. It's not like, oh man, so many games are coming up. I think we're really starting to see the breakdown of how everything is coming. Time to make the donuts and coffee. Yeah, sorry guys. Kelly is off today, so I got a little derailed, but I do need to stop because she is up and about. Thank you very much. I need to stop because my throat's also, I'm so dry. I was really just going to keep preaching. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Man, I've been on autopilot. Just yep. But I feel like it was all probably pretty good though. Also, man, I am so sorry to anybody that if you ever are listening to my streams in the morning and you're like, man, Eli said this thing and it upset me. If you ask me about that later that day, I will have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. And that might be true for later on. So like anything that I say, I would say take it with a grain of salt. But take everything I say with a grain of salt. So much of what I say is just stream of thought. So there's some truth in that, but there's also a lot of lacking of hindsight. At the end of the day, form your own opinions. I'm just trying to do my best, trying to help out how I can. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you for your time. Again, it is your most valuable asset, so that you will willingly give it to me to like listen to me hang out and talk about little toys, truly does mean the world to me. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm gonna keep working on this today. I'll probably post some updates. But yeah, thank you guys. Again, I'm really stoked. This is really starting to get there, and it's given me the bump to like, okay, let's finish this thing. So I'm really hoping to have a lot more work done on this, and I'm really hoping to have some paint on it this weekend. I want to see this thing done. I want to see this board. But yeah, thanks for hanging out, guys. Thanks for keeping me company. Listen to me ramble. I will talk to you all later. Sit pretty.